Well, good evening, folks. It is your host from Your Has Hurts News Network, Sergeant Friday. I have to mute YouTube. There we go. I was actually going to put together a video, just post a video up, but I figured, this is probably just as easy at this time of night. It's right around the normal time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I do realize Trump is in the process of his second to last debate for the election cycle. And there'll probably be many, many people listening to that, and very, 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 very few people listening here. Let's see here. Let me jump over to Twitter, see what we got over at Twitter. Let's see here. But the last time, if any of you are come back to listen to this secondhand or are here now, you remember me calling this the potato chip election. I think it's the potato chip election and much, much more. And I'm convinced, based on the things that I've been paying attention to, which are the inner cities, the minority vote, the low-income vote, the black vote, I'm convinced that it's impossible for Kamala Harris. It's literally impossible for her to perform as well as Joe Biden did. And I have to say that it's absolutely fucking preposterous that your poll people, these professional poll people, are taking what happened in 2020 and trying to extrapolate a 2024 result for Harris. It defies all common sense that you would even remotely think that her candidacy is entitled to Biden's results. It's just insane. She's lost voters in the black community, in the fucking Hispanic community, in the Latino community. She's lost votes in the Jewish community. She's lost votes in every single inner city community and every demographic within that inner city structure. There's just no way. I'm going to show you a couple of metrics so that you see why I say these things. Now, is there room for me to be wrong? Fuck no. Sergeant Friday is almost never wrong. We all know that. So let me show you a couple of things that really make this come to life, what I'm trying to show you. Let me open up a couple of things. Here, I got to open them up first. All right, so there's this. Hang on, I should open that last. There's this. And then the next thing I'm going to open up is an image. And I think that this is very, very, very important that you see these numbers. I'm going to focus on the state of Pennsylvania. I'm not going to go through all the states, because I think it's a waste of people's time to be tortured with information like this, because it's so stupid and common sense that again, it's just fucking ridiculous to go on and on and on about what state what. So I open this up as fairly large as I can, and I want you to notice what I'm trying to point out to you. This is where I come to my understanding of what's going on around me in the election. In 2020, Joseph Biden Jr. received by mail early voting 1,957,720 votes. He got 2 million early votes, folks, in 2020 versus Donald Trump's 595,000. Now I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your fucking socks off. But just keep that number in your head. Joe Biden got 2 million early votes, and Trump got 600,000 early votes. And in the end, the election was won by a minuscule percentage. A ridiculous percentage. He won by small as shit percentage that he won by, Mr. Biden. Okay, so now that's 2020. Here's where the pollsters are jerking your fucking chain and they all need a good slap in the face. In 2024, right now, today, this is as of today, 11/4/2024, from the Pennsylvania Secretary of State. The general election early vote in Pennsylvania. Democrats voted 995,000. Republicans voted 586,000. And then the minor vote is 204,000. for a total of 1.786 million votes. You can round it to 1.787 million total votes of all participants in the early election cycle. I don't need to tell you again, what did we just witness? We witnessed that Joe Biden got more all by himself than the combined total of everything since this year. All the early votes of this year are 1.77 for all parties. Just Democrat in 2020 was 2 million fucking votes. The count is down, folks. The count is down from 2.6 to 1.7. It's off a million votes. How the fuck does Harris overcome that? How can Harris compete as an equal to Joe Biden's performance in 2020? And let's not get into the ideas of cheating and all that. Just put that off to the side. How is it that he won Pennsylvania with a very minor amount of votes, in the thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but in the thousands of votes. Okay, he won Pennsylvania, and currently at this very fucking moment in time, Pennsylvania's early voting is down for the Democratic ticket. Screw the rest of it. It's down from 2 million to where it is right now, which is 995,000 votes. Kamala Harris has lost 1 million fucking votes in Pennsylvania. Now, here's the key aspirations. The ideal thing that happens in elections are a few things. A, you get more voters and you produce more voters for your outcome. That's one way to win an election. But the other way to win an election is the other people's voters don't come out for you. So if Trump, for example, got 10,000 early votes compared to his 600,000 that he had before, that's a big pounding to the forehead. You just had 500,000 people decide not to come out and vote. And that's what you're seeing with Kamala Harris. She had 1 million people come out to vote. Not a bad number. Almost twice what Trump got to come out. But in order for Biden to win Pennsylvania, he had to have, and this is another stunning thing, he had to have 2 million come out before the day of the election. Now I'll go back to the chart now. Watch. Watch what this other chart shows. Because I think it's stunningly important. Let's see if I stop sharing this. That goes away. And then I want to present a window. There it is. Oops, a window. Why is it screwing me up like that? Oh, I know why. It's not open. That's why. All right, my bad. Can't present. Here's the other stunning thing that you have to now I brought that chart back up. Okay. Go all the way over to the left, and it shows you the actual turnout on election day. This is going to blow your fucking mind. $1.4 million people voted for Democrat Joe Biden on election day 2020. 2 million people voted for Joe Biden 2020 election, early votes. Donald Trump received 2.7 million election day votes and 600,000 early votes. Trump has still maintained the same 600,000 early vote, which tells you that he's going to maintain the 2.7 million plus vote on election day. And if it's more sensible to consider Trump will mirror what he did, way more sensible than to even fucking have the hope and dream that fucking Harris is gonna match up with Biden. It's just not possible. And so if only 1.4 million votes turn out for Harris, Harris won't even crack the 3 million voter mark. No, she won't. She will not crack the 3 million vote mark. And in that state, Both candidates last time broke the 3 million count. This is going to be a performance like Hillary Clinton. This is one of the things that a lot of your pollsters aren't even trying to consider. You can't compare fucking Kamala to Joe. You can certainly compare Kamala to Hillary. That's how this should be. I think an intelligent individual that's keen on watching politics, people like you in the audience or people that may come across this stream and hear what I'm saying, will wholeheartedly agree that the attitude of the voter is more akin to looking at Hillary versus Trump, right? And even a little worse now because she's been there 4 years and fucked the country up. She's proven to be inept. So you can't use the Biden metric. Nobody knew Biden was going to fuck this country up like this, right? Nobody suspected that, and that's what happened. So that metric combined with what we know about Harris means that you should be using the 2016 map of Hillary for a starting location, the best possible starting location for this stupid bitch Harris. And because of Trump's performance in the last two elections, we then have to use the 2020 election as a starting basis for his count towards what's going to happen this year. It's not really that fucking different or difficult. I get so irritated with a lot of these pollsters. They get caught up in these pre-rigged up systems that have these same messages, like they've been telling you for how long. This is close. This is close. This is close. What I'm showing you here tonight shows there's no ambiguity. I'm not playing fucking games or making up numbers. I'm not the one that recorded. I'm not the general election for I'm not the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania. Okay, I'm just some prick in New York that uses the name Sergeant Friday, right? And when they tell you who the in-person, the total voted so far, in-person, early, and mail-in ballots, okay, is only 995,000 votes. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely fucking crazy, folks. So Trump did do as good as he did last time. He turned out 586,000. Here's the other thing: there were less than 1.2 million votes requested for Harris. I keep showing you the results that they posted for Biden. These come right from Pennsylvania, that image that I showed you. When it comes down to what's going on in 2020, these are actual election day recorded results. It's not me putting up a chart that I made up. So when we go back to, okay, it's already on the screen. That chart that you're looking at right there, that's an actual legitimate chart from 2020. That's actually how people voted. And both the early vote, the in-person vote on the day of the election, and the results of the election. That's a real piece of paper. That's a real document. So is the link that I keep flashing off to from the Secretary of State. You can't have a million less voters going in, okay, and expect to carry that state. And I'm telling you right now, folks, if you take the vote totals that Hillary Clinton got, and you try, and I should have done this, and I'm sorry I didn't, but I dare one of you to do this. I dare you to do this. Go into the 2016 election and look at the Pennsylvania state vote total for Hillary Clinton, and see if that vote total doesn't line up with what I'm telling you has happened here with Kamala. Somebody go ahead and do that. It's not that hard. Use your search engine. Look at the 2016 presidential election results, Pennsylvania, and tell me how many total votes Hillary Clinton got. And I'm telling you that I believe is what Miss Harris is on fucking poll. That she's on track to get that. Or Trump, he's on track to get almost 3.5 to 4 million votes in that state. Yeah, that the inflation is killing everybody. The inner cities are flipping the fuck out. I mean, so many of us on these streams are white. You know, we're older, we've got money, and we don't really know what's going on downtown in the middle of the fucking war zones. We stay away from that. All we know is what we hear across the news or the feeds. And I'm telling you, I've spent this entire election cycle paying attention to the low income inner city people. I don't give a fuck what color they are. These people are besides themselves livid at what's happening to their cities, at how all of their schools, so many schools like in New York City, a lot of you may not know this, but there's been many schools in New York City that have been closed and turned into immigrant dormitories. Hillary got 2.9 million. That's the ceiling right there, Jeff Jacobs. Thank you for looking. That'll be the ceiling for Kamala Harris. I'm telling you, I don't think Kamala Harris can break 3 million votes. She's already down 1 million. Just so you know, 1.4 million come out to vote for Joe Biden, which is a high number. So if you come out and say the 1.4 million are going to vote on election day, she's only got 1 million votes right now. If that's if every Democrat voted for a Democrat, right? There's another thing wrong with this. That's the one big error when it comes to looking at the election early, is we don't know if a Republican voted Democrat. All we know is how many people's registered to vote came in. So of the amount of registered Democrats that actually came in, there were 996,000 for her. There were 587,000 for Trump. We don't know the mixture, how they voted. The independents came in, 204,000. We don't know who they voted for. But what's telling is these numbers are useful in getting a sense of where the candidates' voters are going. What's their behavior? What's their action? They came out in force for Biden, and they're not coming out in force now. So who was that? Yeah, Jeff, I appreciate that. Yeah, 2.9 million. Biden got, I can't even really see. I got to bring up the image here. Biden got 3.458. Okay, so he got 3.5 million. Trump got 3.4 million. Trump got 3,377,000. Biden got 3,458,000. That's how close the election was, right? So you got 58. You got 23, 58, and 23. 80,000 vote difference in the state. 80,000 vote difference in the state out of 7 million fucking votes. That's what separated the victory from Trump to Biden. 80,000 votes in Pennsylvania. Absolutely incredible. And I find it, again, that the poll guys aren't really getting into it this way. They bring up these charts. That's how I found this stuff. I do listen to the pollsters. I shake my head the whole time. Now, let me go. I'm going to do this, and then I'll probably, but let me think here. Election day, my favorite people. So many needed their income stagnant with inflation. But it's worse than that. Like I was saying in the last stream, you can't even afford a bag of fucking single serve chips, man. They're $2.50. With the cost of rent, the cost of car insurance, the cost of any loan, any credit card bill, any phone bill. Just think about this. A daily bag of fucking chips, whether they're good for you or not, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is on that, is out of reach for millions of people in America. It's like that don't even make fucking sense. They can't afford to spend money on a bag of chips. When the bag of chips is $2.50, that becomes real money by the end of the month. 20 work days, that's fucking a lot of money, man. Right? It was $12.50 a week. It's fucking $50 a month to enjoy your lunch with a bag of chips that are. Who fuck wants to spend $50 on those fucking nasty things? Right? I don't want to say it, but I will. Maybe in the end, it'll eliminate some of this junk food from our diet. I don't know. But milk was $1.99. It's $5.99. This has caused the inner cities, and that's what I'm going to focus on. This will be the last part of the stream here. So using Pennsylvania as a metric, okay, she's already down one. Let me just be sure before I say something stupid. Biden got 1.4 million on election day. She's got $995,000. I'm sorry. Mail-in, he got 1.995. She's only got 995. She's literally down 1 million votes over what Biden acquired in 2020. And that to me that's the story of the election right there. And now I'm going to get into let me see here. Let me see. My last election. Let me close this out. All right. Let me just get up that one company there. 270 to win. Okay. I'm setting up a map. And I'm going to set this map up to show what they consider obviously swing states. And then I'm going to give you my reasoning for showing you that these states are, if you want to call states that are going to be close, then you got way more swing states than you could ever fucking agree on. You have no idea how many swing states this now encompasses. This has got a stunning amount of states that are traditionally blue, that you could actually argue now, if your definition of swing state is close or could change or flip, then watch this map I'm going to give you. This will be my prediction of how the election turns out. See how that shows up. Does this show up on screen here? Okay. Let me get Liz down. Let me get this down here. Formal data analysis, thankfully retired now. Okay. I don't know how to get my face off of it, but it's California, the state over that's got my blocked out image there. That's Nevada. I don't know how many of you are aware, but Oregon is waffling. It's no longer dark blue. The early vote shows Oregon waffling. It doesn't show Trump's going to win it. But I'm going to tell you, if you're a waffling, you're a Trumpin'. What a lot of the election people have done this cycle is because they've given Kamala Harris Joe Biden's 2020 results and then tried to extrapolate data from that formula. So you got a known formula. You have a known fact, 2020 for Trump and Biden. What they've done is they've replaced Biden's name with Harris. That's where they're fucked up. In every single one of these states that are Democrat, including New York, including New Jersey, including Virginia, including Illinois, the working poor and the impoverished in the inner cities of the United States, no matter what color their fucking state has voted in the past, those areas are now highly invested in going for Trump. And because of that, you're going to see states like Oregon. If Oregon comes through for Harris, it'll be by the smallest margin ever. Nevada is going to come through for Trump. Colorado, the state with apartment complexes and illegal immigration overrunning the state, is in play. Absolutely fucking in play. Arizona will go Trump. New Mexico, another difficult state, but because of the immigration crisis and because of the cost of living, because you can't buy that bag of fucking potato chips, that state also be considered a red slide to Trump. Georgia, furious at the results of their last election, are not going to let this one go, and Georgia will absolutely vote for Trump. North Carolina always goes for Trump, and that will be, again, not a swing state. I don't consider Georgia a swing state. North Carolina, I cannot consider them a swing state. I can't consider Pennsylvania a swing state. I do consider Virginia. Okay. Virginia's got rid of that criminal governor they had in 2020. They got a Republican governor in there now. They're trending red. Virginia has a 2 million fucking amount of black people that vote. Okay. Absolutely, positively. You got to consider them. New Jersey, the same thing. New Jersey is their cities, the people, the impoverished, the poor, the voters that Democrats have always fucking depended on and taken advantage of. The ones that they've enraged, the ones where they've let their cities burn and encouraged these people to riot, those areas of the country, folks, for the first time since 1984, are viewing President Donald Trump, the Republican candidate, as the only person that's going to be able to help them. Therefore, when you look at the state, Indiana is definitely red. But when you look at the state of Illinois, a dying on the fucking wolf blue state, I'm sorry, it's a swing state that I believe will eventually, rather quickly, I suppose, fly to Trump. Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota will also go for Trump. There's a chance Trump could pick up New York State. And I know I'm the only person that's followed the polls and watched what these guys do. Of course, I'm not a professional. I don't own a polling business. I don't have employees. I do this all from the comfort of my own comfy home. But when you look at the map and you try to put into your mind to understand the reality of this election, the reality is this is not 2020. Okay? The reality is this is more like 2016 than 2020. The only alteration that you can make to the 2016, if you're going to line up two races, the only alteration is that Trump is more popular now than he ever was. And if you take his popularity and you take the economic conditions of the people that actually vote, you're going to find that so many states actually jump ship. What is it? New Hampshire may end up Trump. These states, all of these states, are going to be crazy when people see on election night, Virginia appears to be going for Donald Trump. Watch, these people are going to start fucking crying. They're not going to know what to do with themselves. In Virginia with the ear to the ground. Yeah. But the catch-22 is, folks, I want you to know that there's cheating, but they're not set up to cheat in all 50 states. I want to give you guys a little bit of, hopefully, listen, if I'm wrong, you can all bunch call me a fucking lying asshole and just never come back again. I don't object to that at all. But you have to realize that there isn't the capacity to do you think that they can stuff the ballot box in the inner city? Okay. But what are you going to stuff it with? All right? If 15, 20% of your voters decide to vote red, what are you going to do? You can't throw all those votes in the garbage. And Trump, here's the best thing, folks. Trump doesn't need to win the inner city vote. For instance, the black vote has historically been well above 90% Democrat. It's not like that now. The worst I've heard that she's doing with blacks is 60-40. If Kamala Harris can only get 60% of the black vote, it's over. Over. There's just no, she has no way of winning the election with that loss of that voter block. She's downing Latinos. There's no way that she can win with a loss and an increase by Trump. That's even worse. Let's go back to the black vote. Let's say only 80% of the black people vote and 20% don't vote at all. That 20% is equivalent to a Trump vote. She can't win. I don't even think she's going to get close to that. The only thing I saw with my own eyes was she was at 78%. And Biden was at 92%. And Biden's number was confirmed when they compiled the numbers after the election to understand that 92% of black America voted for Biden. That group has been so disaffected. And then Kamala has made it worse. You guys aren't down there with these folks. You don't know when you promise a fucking Beyonce rally and 30,000 of us wait hours for it, and then you don't get no Beyonce concert, no Beyonce song. I mean, that's what they've been doing to those people for years. We're going to fix your schools, and they rip the carpet out from them. And this is what blacks keep talking about, folks. This is their main focal point on the Democratic Party. You keep telling us these other people are no good. You keep telling us how racist they are and how you're going to fix our shit. And then once we vote for you, you disappear for 4 years and you don't do nothing. That sentiment is so widely discussed in the black community that it's absolutely amazing. It's awesome because they deserve nothing less than anybody else. These communities deserve factories. They deserve high-tech jobs. They deserve training centers. They deserve that. Just like you do. I do. Everybody does. And I'm telling you, I find it the most refreshing aspect of this election is that the minorities and the working poor, a bunch of them have moved to the Trump coalition. So no matter where she picks up in women, no matter where she picks up with elderly women, she's never going to be able to overcome these two particular points. One, her candidacy and its power to motivate is equal or less than Hillary Clinton. Okay? That folks, I think if I share anything of intelligence with you tonight, I think that particular point of view is the most intelligent thing for you to walk out of here with. You cannot use Biden's crazy results in 2020 and start that metric with it and put her name, take his name out, put her name in, and then argue that, you know, she's only got to hold what Biden did. That bitch can't hold what Biden did. She's not even going to be able, she's probably going to do worse than Hillary. In all fairness, and I think that that's the smartest analysis of the data that's been put forward. Now, Carl's making some points there about nonsense Lincoln. I don't know how true that is. I know people get into a whole bunch of different theories and stuff, but look, we got to live life in what we have in front of us. And I, as some of you may not know, especially I got out of politics specifically because Trump did not drain that swamp, because Trump turned us over to Fauci, who was connected to the Clintons, because by the end of Trump's administration, it was all crazy. I got off of Trump's train or wagon because the DOJ had already confirmed and understood exactly how Democrats were ballot harvesting and cheating at the ballot box. They had already done an investigation and found the crimes, in some cases prosecuted, meaning Trump knew in 2018 exactly the game being played by the Democrats, and nothing was done to prevent it in 2020. And that may be because they went off on these tangents for all these mail-in votes and all this outside and all of this chaos. But just if you look at the kind of chaos that it took to get Biden elected, there just is not enough Americans that haven't suffered. And that's the key. There aren't enough of us that have not suffered, that we're willing to continue on with the economic policies of her. And I'm telling you, it's when you start listening to the low-income voter, these people are more in tune to how much money they gave Ukraine. They don't give a fuck what the war is all about. How much money they're giving illegals. They don't give a fuck about your argument of why you're bringing them here. That is just so not their interest. They just don't want that fucking money given there. Why don't you put it into our schools? Or sure, some of them are like, why aren't you giving it to me? Okay. I don't agree with that understanding of the world or philosophy, but there are a number of those people who are also fucking furious, right? But let me just say, if you're legitimately crippled, I think there should be some program that makes sure you're at least got enough dignity to live. You shouldn't get just so little bit of money that you don't have any dignity to live, and then somebody comes across that border and ends up with a $30,000 fucking check. They get their food paid for, their housing. I'm telling you, the working and the low-income people in the inner cities are so in tune with that has become the driving force behind their willingness to go for Trump. And because they're willing to question Trump, because they're suffering so much economic fucking tragedy, many of these people have realized that everything they were told about Trump has been a fucking lie. So there has been quite the change in the electorate. And it's that's not being discussed by these pollsters and these guys with these big giant accounts that, and some of them I kind of like I like your boy Benny. I get a kick out of some of his shit, especially his intros. But everybody's sticking to this map as if the Biden-Trump fucking campaign is the basis to judge the Trump-Harris campaign. People that have maintained that point of view and even allowed the media, this is the worst part, allowed the media to look at it that way. They should never. This is a Trump fucking Clinton election. Okay? And this time, we know Trump's last outing was 75 million. We know this time it's going to be over 80 million. Okay? Clinton barely broke 60. That's where Miss Harris is going to be. She's in serious fucking trouble when it comes to the population, to the actual. There's one big pollster that works for the Democrat, Axelrod. Don't like that guy. Don't like his life, his view on life, his philosophy. Who's saying there's zero enthusiasm for Kamala. And everything I showed you tonight about Pennsylvania shows you that there's zero enthusiasm for Kamala. Where do the other million early votes go? Imagine if they don't show up. Imagine if they don't show up, but everybody that voted for Trump in 2020 shows up, right? And then add to that all the independents that voted for Trump. More of them, or they show up in the same numbers, but they vote more red than they did in any of the previous ballots inside of Pennsylvania. Okay? There were 207,000 early ballots from independents in Pennsylvania. So for all we know, even if that splits, that's going to split in Trump's favor. If that splits 60-40, Kamala's fucked. She's not going to be able to obtain the amount of votes in just Pennsylvania. That should be the main headline. That should be the story. And everybody that does the mainstream media polling should be confronted. And that message that this was a tight race, folks, is based solely on the fact that they're putting Harris's name over top of Biden's performance in 2020. And it ain't that kind of an electorate. That's been the lie that's been being told. Trump knows it. Why do you think Trump, I said this last time. You think Trump went to New York City? You think he went into the heart of the beast for fun? No. The metrics of the inner city, of the working class poor, of the ethnicities that live in these inner cities, okay? Regardless of race, but that include that, are trending Trump. And numbers they've never trended that way before. They're just sick and fucking tired of being sick and fucking tired. He's got to win the electorate. He's got to win the popular vote. Listen, if Kamala Harris doesn't pick up 500,000 votes, if she loses 500,000 total votes, well, that's added. There you go. That's a number that's easier for Trump to obtain. So let's just say the popular vote, right? Biden won it last time by so many millions of votes. Just start counting what I'm showing you across these different states. And now let me tell you about Virginia and Illinois. Why did I put those in there as swing states? Virginia and Illinois have a huge black voting population. Virginia and Illinois have a very large inner city poor population. Okay? Yeah. These people are fucking furious, especially in Chicago. Holy shit, are people in Chicago fucking furious. Black women going to school board meetings, going to county board meetings, telling these people, you're out. You're out. We're voting Trump. They're literally furious with the established Democrat system. The amazing if Trump wins. Well, it's not even, you don't even need to shut them down. You know why? I've said this for a long time, that it's been cheating on a scale that nobody's really familiar with, has been going on for a long time, because really the diehard haters within that Democratic Party are 35% or less of the electorate. Okay. You do get exposed to a lot of them on TV and on social media. But these dead on haters of anything that doesn't fit their fucked up view of the world, that's the Democrats' selling point. Look at this election process. She's running her campaign just like Hillary did, folks. And this is the metric that just kind of like burns me. I don't have a huge following. I wish I did. So people could see a point of view that's right there in front of their nose that's not being discussed. Look what she's doing on the campaign trail. She's not telling you how she's going to fix the country, nor did Hillary. They just told you how bad Trump is and what a racist he is and what a misogynist he is and what a narcissist he is and what a liar he is and what a criminal he is and that's all she's selling is hate. And there just isn't enough voters in the Democratic Party to buy that this time. They're just not there. They don't want to hear it no more. They don't give a fuck what kind of a person Trump is. They know that when Trump was there, they could buy a bag of chips for lunch every fucking day. Oh, so Vance has a dog. Yeah, he'll win the Electoral College. I think he's also going to win the popular vote because his performance in 2020 has not diminished. The amount of people that are coming out early voting have not diminished. In some states, they've gone up. Okay, and that's a metric that they've always used, that analysis of what really comes in through early voting, even though you don't know how many people cross party lines. You don't know. But if you take them at face value, then all of the Democrats that came out to vote from the early and the day of the fucking what is it? One guy says 90% of the people that come out will vote. 90% of the Democrats that come out to vote will vote Democrat. Okay. That's I can accept that as a statistic that's reasonable. 90% of the Republicans come out and vote Republican. I'm sure some get pissed off. Some would have voted Kennedy this cycle. We all know that to be true. That's the other thing that's not being really put in. The endorsements Trump has this time are completely different than he had any other time at all. The fact that he's not surrounding himself with Chris Christie's and that John Bolton's, and he's got Elon Musk and all of these other, he's got Kennedy, he's got Vivek, he's got a whole bunch of people that are just not political people surrounding him, makes for a whole different potential of the result of his presidential victory. It's quite amazing. Quite fucking amazing. So what else have we got here? So that's my map, folks. And my map ends up showing Donald J. Trump with 415 electoral votes. Kamala, suck dick to get to the top, Harris, with 123 electoral votes. And I know you show this to any, even you guys might seem, it's got to seem crazy to you. Got to seem crazy to you. I mean, I don't think anybody on the internet has said what I just said here. And I'm not paid. I have no connection to any campaign. This is just simply my analysis of information I've reviewed to get me to see the map the way I see it. And if this comes to fruition, you see why I've been saying there's just no way they can cheat their way out of this. It's not possible. Musk. Tommy Law has yet to give any example of wrong policy whatsoever. All right, I want to now stop sharing this. Let's see that. There's this. All right, get rid of this. Now, I'm not going to play this whole fucking thing. Where do I want to go here?
Electoral votes where Mondale thought he might have a chance. It is not to be. Ronald Reagan also carries Alabama. South Carolina, the Palmetto State, with 8 electoral votes. Ronald Reagan, as expected, sweeps to victory in South Carolina. Mississippi, along the Delta, 7 electoral votes in Mississippi. Walter Mondale opened his campaign there, thought he'd have a chance, doesn't. Ronald Reagan wins in Mississippi. And in New Hampshire, the Granite State, Ronald Reagan also has beaten Walter Mondale there. Walter Mondale has carried no state thus far. Let's take a look at how these electoral votes thus far have been translated into the popular vote, if you want to put it that way. In the popular vote, not much of it in yet, only 1% of the precincts reporting. Ronald Reagan with over 165,000 votes, Walter Mondale with 163,000 plus votes, 50% each, the totals, but that's misleading. Keep in mind there are 538 electoral votes. Takes 270 electoral votes to win, and whatever that margin says there about the popular vote, it's the electoral votes where the presidential race is decided, and Ronald Reagan is off to a sweeping start in the Electoral College. Now, Bruce, so far, no surprises, but a strong personal showing in the South of Mr. Reagan, particularly among white voters. Now, what may that tell us?
I want you to listen. This is how long this has been going on. Watch. I think this is the part I wanted people to see, because this you just want to reach through the screen, go back in time, and slap this guy repetitively until either your hand is pulped into a fucking piece of raw meat or he's expired. And no, that is not a threat or an encouragement to violence, YouTube.
That holds as the evening goes along.
Well, Dan, I think before the evening's over, I'm going to sound like a broken record saying the president is doing well in what used to be a part of the old Democratic Franklin Roosevelt coalition. But he is doing well with a number of elements of that coalition, and maybe none of those is more important than the South. You have just called a whole lot of southern states for the president, and that's not something that just happened this year. Virginia, one of them, hasn't voted for the Democrat since 1964. Florida has voted for the Democrat only once since 64. CBS News did exit polling in 2 of what used to be the most Democratic of those states, Alabama and Mississippi. 2 of the states with the heaviest percentage of black vote. Mississippi, the heaviest in the country, over 30%. Alabama in the high 20s. Those voters are still loyal Democrats. Walter Mondale got a very high percentage of the black vote today in Alabama and Mississippi, up around 90%. Nevertheless, he's just getting clobbered by Mr. Reagan, and that's because the white vote has broken so heavily for the president. He is getting over 80% of the white vote in those 2 states. Interestingly enough, the South seems to be the one region in the country where there's no gender gap. Women voting for the Reagan-Bush ticket as heavily as men. As for issues, arms control, Walter Mondale's strongest issue.
So I may have started the wrong point, but this guy goes on to infer that we're racist, that Reagan is a racist because he's appealing to the racist voters in those southern states. And this is where all of this stuff emanates. It started even before this, but this is where they start to zero in on how to use their broadcast to condition the way viewers see the world. And this was an early version, but there's much earlier versions. But this is where you really start to get how the Democrats changed. The Republicans turned into the fucking KKK. This is part of the narrative that they were pushing upon the American public up until this very day. But this is how long. I mean, this is 84. So what is that, 50 years ago? 94, 04, 14? No, 40 years ago. It's fucked up how long that we've been being told that we're the fucking racist pieces of shit. And in fact, now the people that have been told that we're the racist pieces of shit, well, they don't really think that that's true anymore. They know they've been lied to. They know that they've been made promises. And for whatever reason, oh, there it goes. Okay. So they know. The inner city people know, folks. The coalition and the common combining of that, and you don't even need all of them to vote Trump. Trump doesn't have to win the city of New York. Trump doesn't have to win the city of Philadelphia. He doesn't have to win it. He just has to chop off 15. And I think right now, Rasmussen said this, and I said this, if you go back in my videos, I said it too. I predicted that Trump would get between 30 and 40% of the black vote. Rasmussen came out last week and said it appears like Trump is getting 30% of the black vote. And he kind of hedged his bets on that. He said, that's the data that I've reviewed that I can confirm. He goes, but I'm not so sure that'll hold through election day. So he conditioned himself. But he did say, and Rasmussen is one of the top pollers, what I said months ago, that Trump will get 30 to 40% of the black vote. That alone decimates Kamala. Okay? That's a Hiroshima bomb on her. It's over. Hey, Joanne, I hope work is enjoyable. And if it's not, well, then you got me to kind of spice it up a little bit. Because, you know, YouTube rejected your comment. Now, I'm the host of the fucking show. YouTube rejected your comment. This usually means they think it's spam. You know what I said? 1984 all over again, baby. That was what my comment was, and they considered that spam. Unbelievable. I haven't repeated it without the word baby, and they allowed it to come through. YouTube, you can sniff my balls. 4 years ago, I believe. All right, so let me ask anybody in the chat room. Let me ask you guys in your view. When I frame this election, this is going to be this. I want you to vote one or two. I frame this election as Kamala's performance equal to Hillary, and Trump's performance at a minimum equal to 2020. So do you think that that's number one? Do you think that's the most accurate way to observe? Or do you think, given Harris, number two, the same count as Biden versus Trump's count in 2020? Do you think that the 2020 election should be at the way that we view this and the way that we keep track of what may happen, and we simply give Kamala the credit for Biden results? So should Kamala have the Biden result, number two, or should we be viewing Kamala like the Hillary result, number one? So that's one of the things that have been going on throughout this entire process. That's kind of irritated the shit out of me. It's not even the mainstream media doing it. It's all your YouTubers. It's all your Twitter people. You know, I just can't even imagine how you would think that Kamala Harris has the pulling power of a Joe Biden. Not when we know she's down 1 million fucking early votes in Pennsylvania. That tells you she's pulling. And did anybody do that? I think, what's his name did. He said that Hillary got 2.9 total votes. I wonder how many she got in the early. Let me see here. I think I'm going to look this up and then I'll close the stream out after that. 2016. Early vote exceeds 2016. GOP chips at Dems. That was going back there. All right, I'll have to do this on some off time rather than hang you guys up here. But I would suggest to you that if you compare the amount of early votes Clinton got in 16 to what Harris is getting now, they're going to be much, much closer than comparing what. And this is November 4th. That chart that I showed you guys was created today. Okay, created today, and she had 995,000 Democrats that voted. And exactly 4 years ago today, all right, Biden had 2 million. And I'm telling you, if you go back and look, you'll see that in 2016, Clinton had about 1 million. In other words, Clinton's turnout early was equal to Harris's turnout. And that's going to make the difference big time. Unless you think that Harris is going to get another 1 million voters to turn out on election day, right? So she needs, in order to compete with Biden's numbers, she needs 2.4 million people to turn out, right? Let me see here. I'll tell you if that's even possible. I just figured out a simple thought in my mind. Okay. Let's see what they got. Okay. See? I'm right, man. Listen. Hillary Clinton, where did that guy go earlier? Was it Jeff that went out and looked? So Hillary Clinton got 2.9 million votes in 2016. Trump got 60,000 more than her. So he won by a very small margin as well. Okay? So when you go back and look at the folks, I can't tell you how fucking amazing it is to be right. It's exhilarating. It's like a drug for me to be right, as if you guys couldn't tell. Right? So here, let me show you the same fucking thing I showed you for 2024. And thank God the exact same fucking kind of map came up, because not even map. Watch. You guys have already seen this chart. So you know this chart ain't bullshit. So here we go. Let me see if I can make it bigger. All right, I can't. But so what you're looking at here, folks, and is your 2016 race results. Let me get Carl off. How do I get him out of there? All right, there you go. So in 2016, Hillary Clinton got 2.9 million votes, folks. Trump got 2,000,009 votes, also winning the state. However, if you look now, I got to go back and find out how many early votes she got. I really got to go back and find out how many early votes she got, because, oh, you're on X. I didn't know you were on X and able to talk back. Jeff, if you're still there. So this is what I'm telling you. Harris is on track to match Hillary's performance in 2016. She is in no way is she on track. Okay, and here I'll bring that up now. In no way is she on track. So let me change what I'm sharing. To get Biden's 3.45 million votes. She's just not even close to being on track to that. And you know what? Hang on now. All right, so this isn't showing me the early. Maybe it will somewhere. Let's see if there's another breakdown of this. No, it's not. Those are just President of the United States. So it's not showing any early votes then. But the total vote count is just fucking, that's just silly as fuck, bro. Micro Blue, I appreciate that we're all in fear of the criminals, and you know there's nothing. Nobody can say anything wrong about you doing that. Criminals should be feared, but so Jeff's showing she got 2.9 million. The early vote showing Kamala down 1 million over Joe. Okay, Show, and then the proof that Joe only got, we'll call it 3.4 million votes, right? And Kamala needs to make up 2.4 million to even be in the realm of where Joe was. Joe, remember, started out with 2 million votes before the guy's voting day ever even came to fruition. And then voting day came and he picked up 1.4 million. Regardless if it was a cheat or not a cheat, okay? 7 million people voted in that election. In the first election between Clinton, it was 6 million people. I suspect you're going to see 7 million people vote, but I suspect you're going to see, maybe not even that. You're probably going to see 6 million people vote because you're going to see what happened to Clinton. Clinton didn't lose to Trump because voters changed philosophies. That's the other strong metric that's really driving a lot of this change here. It isn't that there's two problems for Harris. One is there's no enthusiasm for that middle class cunt, right? And the other issue for her is a lot of people aren't coming out to vote. There's no ambition. There's no message. A million Democrats are not coming out to vote. And that to me is going to be probably the biggest reason why she loses some of these states that are blue that turn red. It's just going to be very difficult for her to even hang on to a state like Virginia. And my understanding is that her campaign stopped putting money into North Carolina, and then they started putting money into Virginia. Virginia was won by double digits or high single digits against a Republican for the last several cycles. All of a sudden, Kamala Harris is worried about Virginia. And someone had asked about Cletus. I didn't mean to ignore your comment, but he had a bunch of other shit going on, and because I've been randomly streaming, without having to not keeping to a schedule, it's been a little hit and miss with Cletus. Yeah, I don't know. I may be back here again tomorrow to stream as the election is live. I did that in 2020, and it was a bit intense. And I actually didn't. Yeah, I may do it. I'll see. But where were we? Let me go back here. Yeah, so that's cool. I actually got a message and somebody from Twitter or X, this guy Jeff Jacobs. Thanks for giving me that info on Hillary. But what do you guys think? You think that Harris is going to perform as well as Hillary, number one, or as well as Biden, number two? Do you think that her totals are going to be more comparable to Hillary Clinton, one, Joe Biden, two? What do we got here? Yeah, but that Harris Philadelphia one, let me just point out that they had bussed in people from all over the surrounding states. That's the other thing with Harris is that their images, I don't know, you don't see people being bussed into Trump rallies. These are organic local people making their way to the particular event. And that is not true in a Kamala Harris rally. I'm telling you, there's no enthusiasm for Kamala. And that comes from one of their top Democratic operatives that's been on the ground. That guy I mentioned earlier. His name will come to me. When I don't like people, I can't remember their name. So if you ever got to know me and I keep asking you or forgetting your name, it's probably because I don't like you. Axelrod. Most definitely Axelrod. Did anyone watch her on SNL? Yeah, she copied Trump's skit from years ago. To me, it is what it is. So let me get rid of this Pennsylvania thing. We'll get that off the board there. No more present. Hopefully it'll click off over here. Yeah, she did the same thing Trump did. She is a horrible candidate, folks. She's a horrible candidate. Listen, there's a lot of libertarians that vote Democrat. There's a lot of different categories of people that vote even Republican, right? And I'm just convinced that you can't get the populace this angry at your economic policies. You can't get the country this angry at your immigration policies and then come out and perform as strong as Joe did. You can't even come out and perform as well as Trump did the last time Trump ran. There's too many negatives in the negative column. And there's too many different people from too many economic backgrounds that are just beyond they're beyond their ends. They can't take it no more. They just can't. And they're screaming loudly in the streets of the cities. There's big caravans. You used to see the Puerto Ricans coming out when they tried to trash Trump about a Puerto Rican joke. Let me be clear. Puerto Rico is at 90% of its capacity to get rid of fucking garbage. The island has turned into a big garbage bin. Think about the hurricane that went through there. And all the housing and roofing and fucking wood and cement. And just think about how much shit has had to be cleaned up and put somewhere. It is an island of garbage. Not because the people are bad, but because the people sort of suffered a horrific fucking natural disaster. Right? And that island, even though it doesn't count towards the election, but more importantly, the Puerto Ricans in the USA, they're all about Trump. What a Yeah, we're a little more mellow, except for your host. He's a bit crazy hyper motherfucker. Well, I kind of enjoy being who I am. You won't get no complaint from me about me. No. But I don't know. It's like with so many things that I've watched and reviewed in politics. I think I do bring a unique view, and maybe because it's that need to be different, or it's that need that I have to be. What do you call that? Not contradictive, maybe contradictive, but contrarian or some bullshit word. I don't fucking know. But I can't help seeing what I'm seeing in these inner cities and with these different minority groups and with these different economic groups, okay? All screaming the name Trump. And nobody in the mainstream media realizing you're seeing the Hillary Clinton election all over again. You see? That none of these pollsters have even attempted to frame it that way. It's shocking to me. None of these big talking heads, none of your, the big names out there that are so, they're so smart and what they don't know is they're so caught up in that system. It's like I say about YouTube and social media. We've all mimicked what we've had done to us. I'll give you an example of that. I wanted to do a stream on this because I think a lot of people need to be fucking humiliated. Mayflower. Why are women still voting for Trump? Let me see if there's any of this coming through. But here's what I want to say is you go into YouTube or you go into Twitter and everybody's got these hysterical titles. NBC loses its license to broadcast. And oh my God, look what happened. Look what Trump said. And they put up all of this fucking chaos, clickbait bullshit titles, right? And oftentimes you go in and the title doesn't even have anything relevant to the topic they discuss. Be like me putting in here my last election prediction, bringing you in here and talking about football. What the fuck, man? And this is all over the fucking internet. This is on X. This is on YouTube. This is on all of the streaming. That everybody, regardless of their political affiliation, all have to have these fucking clickbait fucking titles when what we all really want is the motherfucking truth. And we're stuck in this fucking vicious circle of having to click on these people because some of these people do have access. I'm just a regular guy like you, right? I don't have access to anybody inside the Trump's team. I had access the first time, not directly to Trump or to Trump's direct surrounding people, but I was followed by Flynn and Sidney Powell and their followers. I talked with people from the Epoch Times, their reporters, their writers. I talked with people that were affiliated with the Russiagate scandal, some of the accused. So I had a lot more invested in a lot more interaction with people on a bigger or broader scale, I suppose, than I just walked away after what happened. I just walked away from politics and came back into true crime. Okay. And then I ended up back over into politics again. And for tonight's show, I want to make a couple of points that I think so that I'm not just back as a, what do you call them people? I'm not back on the coattails and I'm not following the prevailing wind. I'm going to tell you exactly why I went from being a very skeptical, harsh critic of Donald Trump for 2 years. Even though I didn't interact much here, I didn't even want to talk about politics because of my disappointment in his first 4 years. And why now I'm able to support this guy. And I'm going to tell you what the biggest reason is. The biggest reason is when he was asked an off the fucking cuff question by a reporter. It said, listen, if you could tell us something you did wrong during the presidency that you wouldn't do again, could you tell us what that is? Is there something you did as a president that you wish you didn't do? And his answer was an unscripted answer. He simply said, yeah. He said, people. I surrounded myself with the wrong people I thought I could trust. He says, and I'm not going to make that mistake again. And now you go look at his campaign. So for me, words are important. I thought it was rather eye-opening that Trump considered that his biggest failing. Okay? And he'll say it. He said it several times since then. So the first time I heard it, it made me sit up in my chair like, whoa. And he's explained what that means. And now go look at his campaign. Look at the fucking campaign. Elon Musk is not in Congress nor the Senate the last time I checked. Yeah, he's got Tulsi Gabbard, but she's from the opposing party. Yeah, he's got RFK Jr., but that's a ringing endorsement from the other side. That's another thing that, if you notice, I haven't even talked about that. You know, that RFK was getting 5 to 10%. He was pulling from Trump. RFK would have been a spoiler. That's why. First, they didn't want him on because they didn't want him in the primary, right? That was their big argument. Then he eventually wormed his way onto the ballot, had to come on as an independent. And they fought that. But then when they realized that he was actually pulling votes from Trump, which would help Harris, they wanted to keep him on the ballot. And when he decided he was going to support Trump, which he did, and then pull his name off the ballots, they fought him in court to keep his name on the ballot. So these are insidious fucking criminals that do this right in front of your fucking face with no shame, with no even fucking conscience or what. They don't give a fuck about you or me. That's another part of the uncounted totals that are going to be going towards Trump. Who does that nasty, filthy blow broad have? Dick Cheney's daughter? All the cuckold Republicans that want us to go to war? John Bolton? All the warmongers are and do you really think Democrats that vote Democrat don't see that? This is just so damning that a lot of people may not even try to. You got to conceptualize being a Democratic voter, hating George Bush, hating Dick Cheney, chanting with signs and going after him. And now these people are supporting him, Kamala, and Kamala's welcoming them in like they're long lost fucking lovers. Like she's found the fucking dragon. She found the unicorn. Are you fucking serious? You think that Democratic voters want to vote for that? It's only a few short years ago that Trump was the fucking enemy, or not Trump, Bush and Cheney, and all the other people that she's named from the Republican Party. They were the ones that were being targeted by the Democrats. They were the reasons not to vote for Republicans. And now these Republicans are her buddies. It's another slap in the face to the Democratic voter. Not everybody is stupid, folks. Most of us are brilliant. Most of us are really brilliant. Sadly, most of us get caught up in this fucking rigmarole of social media and the internet. And that kind of makes us somewhat dumb. But there's the capacity for us to be as smart as we can be. So what did I move into? I went up to YouTube for a reason. Oh. Yeah, I want to show somebody's fucking titles. I can't believe somebody's fucking titles. And Megyn Kelly or Jesse Waters. Unfiltered thought. This just happened. Kamala loses it. Humiliated after celebrities exposed payments to. Whatever, man. Why all of that drama fucking titling? Can't you just give us some solid information? And listen, I want to say this, and I'm going to close the stream. Anybody that's trying to predict any event that hasn't happened yet is fighting an uphill battle, right? And that uphill battle is going to have its own finish. And as to whether I'm accurate in my analysis as to the finish that I'm projecting to be a booming Trump versus a Hillary, okay? I consider this Hillary too. and worse than Hillary too. That for that to come to fruition, I hope it does. And I hope that people stop and think about how these statisticians, and I don't think they're all doing it for the wrong reasons. I think that, you know, we all walk outside and stick our key in the ignition, right? And you turn the key and you know, it becomes habitual. So all these election cycles are compared to the previous election cycle. That's really been what's been going on for a long time. And in a lot of instances, that comparison is relatively accurate. But in this particular instance, under these certain economic conditions, under these horrific fucking immigration situations, with these wars and hundreds of billions of dollars being sent overseas while the economic conditions here keep getting worse, with house prices, you know, like Chicago. Here's something. This is something you could go look up. The mayor of Chicago, black guy, okay, ran on the ticket that he would not raise property taxes. Now, I said this when all of these Zillows and these other jerk-off fucking foreign influence companies came in and started paying outrageous prices for our housing and drove the value up, and now everybody wanted it. I live in a $125,000 to $140,000 home. I live in a $125,000 home. Matter of fact, if I moved and you gave me $100,000 cash, I'd sell you the fucking house. This thing's assessed for, or it's estimated on Zillow at $175,000. I wouldn't have the balls to sell you this house for $175,000. It's not a $175,000 fucking house. Now, where I live, house prices are much like the same house in California might be a $250,000 house, a 1,200 square foot Cape Cod, but that's California. And my state, because there's big property taxes, our housing prices have always been fairly reasonable. I bought the house for $52,000, right? So it's triple in fucking value? No, absolutely fucking not. It's the same fucking drywall, the same 2x4s, and the same fucking lot. It's always been. Did it go up in value over time? Sure. But overnight, my assessment went from 80, and they reassessed. And now let me get back to where I was at Chicago. This is the whole reason I'm telling you this, is that in Chicago, the mayor runs and he says he's not going to raise property taxes. So what do? Because all these inflated house prices, they reassess the fucking houses in the city. And then they send you a tax bill based on a reassessment. And that's what I told everybody that I know. The only person to benefit from a high house price is the fucking government that collects taxes off your property value. Those are the only benefactors of that. Sure, there'll be some Americans that sell their homes and end up pretty well, right? Sure. But that number pales in comparison to the 100 million of us that had our homes reassessed and now got to pay property taxes on an assessment value that's artificially been inflated by corporate fucking cronies. That's happened in Chicago. All of the people's homes were reassessed. All of the people's homes were taxed, and tax increases were given to every single homeowner. Guess what this asshole just came out and said on Sunday? He's putting the bill together that's going to raise the property tax itself. Now they just suffered a property tax increase because of value. Now they're going to get a property tax increase on the percentage of the value. And the Chicago citizens are fucking furious, folks. That's what I mean by stepping out of our little cubbyhole on Twitter with all the people we're familiar with. Most people that we congregate with, we're all pretty much the same boat economically and the way we view the world. And when you step out of that, especially during this election cycle, you step into the areas that you are told to avoid, and you see those people aren't any different than you and I. And finally, when we talk about all of this nonsense with that fucking jerk off story about Q during the 2016 election cycle, Q, the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening was never going to be a mass arrest of the deep state. The Great Awakening was going to be the American people. And you're going to find people from all different creeds, all different colors, and all different incomes that come together, and they're going to vote for Trump in a bigger quantity than they did in 2020. And little old Commie Harris is going to end up with a vote similar to Hillary Clinton in 2016. And I'm going to end the stream with that. And yeah, I'll try to be back tomorrow night. We'll see. Especially if blue states turn red like I predicted. I'm going to come out here and just fucking brag my fucking self through the whole night. And if it all goes the other way, I'm going to come out here and let you guys beat on me the whole night. How about that? So there's a more than just probable chance that I'll be here, because when I'm wrong, I don't mind taking a whooping. When I'm right, boy, oh boy, I love the accolades. Can't have one without the other, folks. So look, good for y'all turning out. Share with your friends. Just remember, 2024 is a combined election of Hillary versus Trump again, and they don't stand a chance.